Hello and welcome to Beering in Mind Beer Reviews. Today we're going to take a look at, or begin to take a look at several beers from one brewery, and that one is called Hitachino Nest. And this brewery is very well known outside of Japan. If you go to a liquor store, a big liquor store in the US, and they have a foreign beer section, Japanese beers will often include Hitachino Nest. They call it Many people call it owl beer because it has the owl on the front. And Hitachino Nest is really an offshoot of Kyuchi Brewery, which is a very long-established sake brewery in Nakashi, Ibaraki-ken in Japan, which is up north of Tokyo. They started in 1823 and began making beer in 1996. And they also make wine, spirits, sake, things like that. So half of the brewery's production goes to the United States, and they export to like 30 different countries. And they also have something interesting, which is not common in Japan. They have a brew on premises facility, so you can go in and make beer. They'll help you. They'll help you choose ingredients, and then you make the beer. They brew the beer, and you come back and bottle it. So very, very nice. They established a special brewery in 2008 just for beer in Nukata area, and they also grow their own hops there. There are 15 different beers in their regular beer lineup, which is quite large, and probably their most famous beers are Japanese classic ale. They have different varieties. Some are aged in cedar casks, and they have been a contract brewer for Brooklyn Brewery since 2009. Making Brooklyn Lager and that sort of thing for Japan. They also established a brewery in Korea, so they're very active and have been doing many things in craft beer in Japan. Reviews. We are looking at a series of beers from Hitachino Nest, and today we're going to look at the third one in the series, and that is this one. It's called Espresso Stout. And this is a stout, and actually it's considered a flavored stout because it does have actual coffee beans in it. It's 7% beer, 30 IBUs, International Bittering Units, and on Rate Beer, this one has 1,556 ratings, an average score of 3.86, pretty high. 98th percentile for all beers on Rate Beer, and 97% for its style, which is flavored stout. Untapped gives this 40,759 ratings, an average score of 3.73, and this is one of the rare instances where the Untapped score is actually lower than Rate Beer's score. The label, the back of the label says this: a deep and profound stout brewed with well-roasted coffee beans. This beer has a remarkable espresso-like aroma and a mellow flavor with a pleasant bitterness and acidity. I don't really care for it when the brewer tells you what you should be experiencing out of a beer. I kind of like it when they tell you what they put into it and maybe what they tried to do with it, but not necessarily commenting on things like a remarkable espresso-like aroma, pleasant bitterness and acidity and so forth. But in any case, so apparently this beer was made to a Russian Imperial Stout recipe, although it doesn't have quite the alcohol level or the bittering level, 30 IBUs it has, of that style of beer. But they have added coffee beans to it here. My problem with a lot of coffee beers is that the coffee tends to have been put in too long or steeped too long or put into the boil for too long, and it gives it kind of a scorched taste. So it's not easy to get that right, hit that sweet spot where you get the coffee light coffee flavor, but not necessarily a scorched note. Okay, let's try this one out. Okay, it does pour out like a Russian Imperial Stout. You see the color of that head there. It's pretty substantial dark tan, and it is completely opaque. You will see no light passing through that whatsoever. It's a deep dark brown color with two fingers of pretty thick, spongy, sort of dark tan head. Okay, right away I do get the coffee. It is kind of burnt. Something sweet behind it. So apparently they use 4 types of malt, dark malts, chocolate and black, and I think patent. So 4 different types of dark malt in this, and yeah, so it smells like a stout, kind of halfway to a Russian Imperial, but not quite there. Okay, yeah, it does have a substantial coffee initial flavor, some chocolate backing up there, light bitterness certainly in mid-palate. Coffee is just a touch scorched, but not too bad, not as bad as some. I once made a home brew with coffee beans, and before I realized how you should be using them, and I just dumped a whole ton of beans in the boil and boiled it for 60 minutes, and it was not undrinkable, but not very good. So this is okay. I wish they'd steep the coffee a little bit less, perhaps, or maybe use a little bit less coffee, but it's this is quite drinkable, pleasant. The body seems a little bit light for the style, just a touch. There is a kind of sense of something coating your mouth here, and I assume that's the coffee. Some kind of coffee residue here. So it does have a decent chocolatey background to this coffee note, and the coffee note is the dominant one by far. So I think you may find this somewhere if you check out a large liquor store or craft beer specialty store. If you're not in Japan, you can probably find it in a very large, beer store or something like a Total Wine, and give it a go. See what you think about this beer here. It's an interesting, it's a nice beer. It's an unusual one. The coffee is pretty strong in it, and tell me what you think. Leave me a comment and let me know if you think my evaluation of this beer is on or off, and I'd like to hear from you. Please subscribe to the channel, and we're going to be doing a few more Hitachino Nest beers next, and we'll be continuing with lots of different Japanese craft beers. So I hope you subscribe and keep following. All right, take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.